Welcome back to another devlog. Last episode, I finished up with the player abilities. They definitely require some more tweaking, and there are still some minor bugs I need to fix, but I'll take care of that another time. Now that abilities are mostly done, I'll be working on one of my favorite features in the game, skipping ropes. You may not have noticed it in the past videos, but the way the game currently works is that you hold a spacebar to hold onto a rope and you release the spacebar to release the rope. So with this feature, it is possible to jump off the rope you are currently holding onto and skip a few ropes before latching onto a rope that is a little ways down the line. This is an incredibly satisfying feature, and I want to make it more central to the gameplay because I noticed after watching a few people play the game that high-risk moves are avoided at all costs. In my opinion, this happens because, more often than not, high-risk moves are punished rather than rewarded. So for example, if someone skips a rope, they are likely to fall, but really don't gain any kind of advantage if they make it across. Well, that's about to change. There are a few things I've come up with to push the player to more risky behavior, involving subtle features you may not notice, and more in-your-face features that really emphasize that you did a good job by skipping a rope. Getting started, the first thing I'd like to look at in this episode is rewarding risk-taking. So what do I mean with rewarding risk-taking? Well, I'm thinking of adding a feature to the game where skipping ropes gives you some sort of currency, and the more ropes you skip, the more you get. So skipping one rope may give you 10 units of the currency, and skipping 2 ropes gives you 40 or something. Effectively, this feature adds high risk for high reward. One thing I need to watch out for in this case is that the player can potentially skip a very large amount of ropes with the help of abilities. For example, the player may use the jetpack and the jump pad to skip over maybe 10 ropes. With an exponential increase in cash gain per rope skipped, this could lead to very high numbers. I need to ensure that the player doesn't gain an unreasonable amount of cash by exploiting the game like this. I'm quite excited for this feature, and there's a lot more to do, so I'll get started on it straight away. What I have now is this. As you can see, when the player skips a rope, a particle effect plays and the rope turns an orangey bronze color. This is my way of signaling to the player that you turned this rope bronze by skipping it, and you have essentially collected a bronze rope. How you collect the rope is a mystery, but it's a mystery I can live with. So what is the purpose of collecting a bronze rope? This is going to tie into the currency system I'll develop later on, but the gist of it is that you can collect ropes and use them to buy abilities and cosmetics from the store. With that said, I don't only want the player to be rewarded with bronze ropes. There should also be silver and gold ropes for the players who want to play riskier and make more gains. So I'll get to it, and with the magic of editing, I'll see you in a few seconds. It's done. I can now jump the distance of several ropes, and if I manage to get one, you'll see that if I skip 3 ropes or more, I'm awarded with a bronze, a silver, and a gold rope. Of course, this is a work in progress, and I still need to add sound and art, but as of now, I think it's a pretty satisfying feature. So with that in the game, I basically have the rudimentary system in place for making the player take more risks and get rewarded for them. But now there's a problem. The player doesn't know how much they earned, so I'll have to add some feature to let the player know, hey, you earned some ropes, congratulations. And I think I'll keep it simple for this one and just add a little tracker in the corner for how many bronze, silver, and gold ropes you collected this round. I'll just go ahead and do that, and I'll get back to you once I'm done implementing it. first thing I did was draw a sprite. This sprite took me way too long to come up with. I went through countless iterations and they all looked horrible. I think this goes to show pixel art is hard. So after some trial and error, I now have this rope icon which I colored white to give it any color I want later on in the game. I added it to the canvas 3 times and gave it a bronze, a silver, and a gold color and added some text to each one. This will represent how many ropes of each type the player collected in the current run. Now the player has a good idea of what they earned so far, and I hope this goes a long way to pushing the player to try new and dangerous things. One more thing I want to add to reward the player for taking risks is a small feature I was made aware of by a commenter on my previous video. It basically goes like this. Currently the way the firewall works is that when the player jumps off a rope, the new firewall position is moved to be right behind the player. This made sense at the time because I didn't want skilled players to get too far ahead of the firewall, so it would always pose a threat and force the player to go as fast as possible and take risks. Great idea, right? Wrong. Now that the firewall is always right behind you, you'll go as fast as possible, but since the firewall is still right behind you after you took an enormous risk, it feels more like you were punished for progress instead of rewarded for a sick jump. Fixing this is luckily rather simple, so I'll implement it and get back to you with the details once I'm done. Okay, so what I did to fix the firewall is that I set a threshold for how far it can stray behind the player, and once the firewall reaches that threshold, it sticks to that distance. Now hold on, it isn't that simple. I also added that the higher the player's score is in the game, the closer the firewall will ever be to the player. I find that this is kind of like a self-adjusting difficulty setting, so the better the player, the closer the firewall. It's still a work in progress, so anything can change, but this feels good right now and I'm happy with the results. One final thing I did was to make the firewall faster when the player gets a higher score, so that if you are at say 200 points, you are forced to go far ahead of the firewall as it is faster than a single rope-to-rope jump, and being slow here can end a run. I'm going to do something visual for the final bit of this video, and add something I think will benefit the look of the game for now, and that's a low-res retro look. I mean in games like A Short Hike, Lone Survivor, or MechPixel. Just really bumping up the pixel size. To do this, I'll render the scene to a texture and display it in a canvas. What do you think about this new look I'm going for? I'm still not sure about it, and obviously the graphics aren't final, but I'll have to see what comes up in the future. Maybe I'll have a huge revelation in a couple days, completely changing the visuals. Anyway, that's it for this episode, as the video needs to go out on Monday, and I'm running out of time. So with that said, subscribe for more, like the video, and I'll see you next time.